Hey everybody, so this is level 2 List F homework notes. For your phonogram review for all the days, that should be pretty straightforward. We've done all those things before. Your chart additions for day 1, you have P3, shot. So we're using the SH phonogram at the beginning of a word. So you're gonna ask the kiddo, is the sh at the beginning of a word or the end of a base word? Then they'll write it and they'll mark that sh in red. When you get to your reading or your review activities for day 1, as I was doing this today with Henry, it was just a really good reminder that they have only encountered these words one time in our SWR way. So when you get to some of these tricky words that have things that we really have to pay attention to with, if they don't remember how we think to spell them, just be really gentle with them and then remind them and have them say it anyway. So when we got to this word for Henry, because we always think to spell before we think to say, we think O-L-D. So if you can remember that we think O-L-D, then see if they can put it together for old. And a reminder that when we have a one-syllable word, when we think to spell, we say all of the phonograms. When we have a two-syllable word, we think the syllables and then the full word. So for this word, we're going to think lit-tol. Whoops, sorry about the glare there. There's glare everywhere in my house today. So we think lit-tol, but we say little. When we got to ice, Henry was having a little bit of trouble because he couldn't remember that I said I because of the E, and he kept wanting to think about the word like from last week, which has I saying I because of the E. And he didn't remember that C said S before E, I, or Y, which was okay because we can just remind them lovingly as much as we are able that I said I because of the E and C says S before E, I, or Y. So we're going to think I, S, E. What does that spell? Ice. Or same thing with wild. W-I-L-D. They're going to see this at I. They're very new to the I and O. May say I and O before two consonants rule. So just remind them it's saying its second sound. W-I-L-D. Can they say wild? Or with a word like floor. This one's kind of tricky for us. We think F-O-O. Help them as much as you are able. And if you can take some time to refresh yourself just by glancing over your book, that can be helpful too, and try to practice it before you go in with them. So on day 1, I would actually have them read their logbook first. I know it says read log as number 2, but I would do that first. And then for the vowel sounds worksheet, this is a really fun way to just organize what we're learning. So it's page 34, and it says first sound, second sound, third sound. So this is based on what the vowel is doing. So when we get to the word lit-tol, it is saying its first sound, so it goes in the first sound column. And you're always going to do the words in the order that they came on the spelling list. So you don't want to give them all the first sound words first. You would go through old. What sound is it saying? It's saying its second sound, so it goes in the second sound column. Then we have lit-tol. We hear that it is saying its first sound, so it goes in the first sound column. We have hot. Is saying its first sound, so it goes in the first sound column, and all the way down. If they're burning out after like 10 words, tell them you're going to do 10 words and give them a couple minute break and then come back and finish, or whatever feels appropriate to you. And then dictation sentences, page 14 in the Wise Guide, that's the brown book. There's some sample sentences for you to use in there. On day 2, the adjectives worksheet, it explains in the answer key, but the first 10 words in list F can be used as adjectives, which we are used to describe nouns, and the second 10 words are nouns. So I love already the beginning of this program, we're teaching them what is a noun, what is a verb, what are our subjective pronouns, which pairs so well with CC and all of the memory work that we're doing. So the first 10 words can be adjectives, the second 10 words can be nouns. There are some that can go back and forth, but just to keep it straightforward, just help guide them into that direction. So have your answer key open next to you and be referencing that as you go. And again, you're going to go in the order that the words were presented. They may catch on after a little while that we seem to have all of our adjectives going in the same place, but they might not. And then it can be fun to mix and match your adjectives. So for your second activity for day 2, it says draw pics of 4 to 5 adjective noun combinations. Have them pick their favorite adjective and their favorite noun. So maybe they want to draw old bread and they want to draw it with mold spots all over it. Or they want to draw long hair. And so they have a princess who has very long hair with a crown on top. And then more sentences for day 2 that you can get from the source on page 14 of the Wise Guide. And on day 3, for their test, just continue to bring back words that we have already exposed them to. There's after this week, they've done 120 words, which is pretty neat. So the ones that you think that they might need more practice with, or ones that they're confident at if they need a little bit of a boost. And as I've been going through with Henry this time, I'm not marking in my book every word that he's getting wrong. I'm just saying, we're going to do the best that we can with what you remember, and if you need help, I'm here to help you. And it's just as much as I'm able, a smile and an encouragement. Why did I say I in that word? Can they remember that there's an E, even if they didn't remember on their own? Again, if you have questions, please always ask. And also, if you have time and the inclination, make sure to go back to your, I think it's P8, that word, the page that we started to build, where we're looking at ways a vowel can say its second sound, and we worked with those the vowels saying their second sound at the end of a syllable. And to keep working on your P2, which is your multi-letter phonogram collections page, going through and adding and working on in small chunks those ones. So this week we have all the ers, for example, of her, of church, of first, of worship, of early. And the tic-tac-toe idea that I kind of mentioned in a flyby yesterday, Henry and I have been playing a lot of tic-tac-toe, especially learning our new phonogram. So he'll have one color, I'll just do book face. Oh, there's that glare again, my goodness. So sometimes I tell him a phonogram to write, so I'll say write B, and he writes B. And then sometimes I write a phonogram, like we're working on our ers this week. So I'll write this and say, can you tell me what it is? Now I still get the point because I wrote it, but he has to tell me that it's of her. And you're probably going to make your look a little bit better than that. So then I would say to him, can you write of first? So he would say and then I'll say, I'm going to write of early. So I take turns going between I identify it and he identifies it. Sorry, this should have been in book face because this is my turn. All right. Happy spelling, ladies.